Hey, Hawkeye fans, Chad Leistikow of the Des Moines Register with Tyler Tachman of the Des Moines Register. Tyler, a busy day, a funny day of Hawkeye football interviews. I'm trying to decide if Nico Ragaini's little mini rant or Cade McNamara's faux pas, I guess you would call it, was more amusing. I mean, here's what I would say to everyone out there. Go ahead and search on Twitter if you want for both of those things. We're not going to repeat probably either of them here, but they're funny. And I would just say overall, didn't you feel like the Hawkeyes were in a pretty good mood after beating Iowa State on Saturday?
Yeah, I think those two kind of interviews were pretty representative of just the lighthearted vibe, I guess. Felt like good energy all around. But no, I just saw you posted about the Cade's thing, which was funny live, but he was like, please do not put that out there, but I guess it's out there. So
Yeah, I mean it's basically I think live streamed anyway. So, but yeah, check it. It's on my Twitter feed now. I didn't post it, but I just posted someone else's thing just because the way that the video was edited was actually even more funny. And I feel like Cade is just becoming more and more likable. We're gonna get to Cade later in the show in more depth, but I I feel like Iowa fans are really gravitating towards Cade, his personality, what he brings to the pocket. And I almost feel like this video today almost like humanizes him a little bit.
yeah,
But I could see some people being like, I don't know, whatever, weirded out by it, but it was funnier than heck.
yeah. Well, I think it's also a reflection of like talking. I talked to his dad before the season started, and of just like how happy he is to be at Iowa, just like how excited he is to be the sort of, I guess you could call him face of the program, but that his kind of winding journey, especially in college, has led him here. So it feels like from what we've been hearing of like he's excited to be here. He genuinely does seem like he's loose and having a good time and having fun. So
Yeah, and he's feeling better. We'll get to that a little bit later, but obviously, the Cade McNamara storyline, Tyler, huge offseason deal, but probably the biggest offseason storyline, the sports gambling probe, has essentially come to its conclusion almost on the same week, almost the same day, as in one breath, the Hawkeyes get back Jermari Harris from a 2-game suspension. He is now thrust into a starting role at right cornerback, pushing Deshaun Lee to the bench, so to speak. I'm sure he'll still be on special teams and in dime packages and available to come in at any point. But the other side of that is Noah Shannon's NCAA appeal has been denied. He is now done for his Hawkeye career. Came back for his 6th-year senior season. Is out for the year. That eligibility is now gone. He will remain with the team and help out the younger guys. They're going to put him to work, Kirk Ferentz said. But I guess it was just sort of some finality to it, Tyler. And, Kirk Ferentz, has been pretty consistent, I would say, in his criticism of the NCAA, wanting them to take a harder look at this. And clearly, Iowa did not get what it wanted. So Noah Shannon will not play for the Hawkeyes anymore. Bummer for him, bummer for the Hawkeyes. And, any thoughts you have on that?
no, yeah, I just think I mean, it's a tricky situation, but it's hard not to feel for Noah Shannon. And one of the things Kirk Ferentz talked about today was just like kind of the human aspect of it. And I think it's easy, especially in a sport like football where guys have helmets on. You don't even really. It's difficult to see their faces. It feels like there's a real barrier between fans and players that to understand that there's someone under that helmet that is dealing with not Noah Shannon there's a person dealing with having his kind of final run as a Hawkeye taken away. So from the human, kind of interest aspect of it, that it's hard not to feel for him. But I also think that from the Jermari Harris return side of things, I think that in the future, down the road in the season, we might actually look at Jermari Harris being out for 2 games as a possible benefit. Obviously, I don't think you want him to miss time, but I think Deshaun Lee's emergence in those 2 games and what he did actually kind of answered some questions about Iowa's secondary, because with Riley Moss leaving, you kind of were wondering who is going to step into that role. And even with a guy like Jermari Harris, he hasn't played since 2021. So you're wondering whether he would be capable and kind of be able to come back up to speed. But he misses the first 2 games. Deshaun Lee, I think, did a really good job. And so now you have the, I guess, predicament of having too many possibly good, guys to put in that role on the other side of Cooper DeJean. So I think it's a good problem to have. I think it also gives possibly Iowa some more positional flexibility because there was, I think it was brief, but there was time against Iowa State where Cooper DeJean, Deshaun Lee, and TJ Hall were all on the same, were on the field at the same time. So I think that you could possibly, if needed, put Jermari Harris, Deshaun Lee, and Cooper DeJean on the field at the same time to give some more positional flexibility if teams decide to go more spread out with more receivers to take Nick Jackson out of pass coverage, which was exploited against Utah State. So while I think at the beginning of the season, you say it wasn't, you don't want Jermari Harris to miss time. I think that down the road, it could actually end up benefiting Iowa.
Yeah, let's stick to the Harris top line of discussion here. Maybe we'll circle back with Noah Shannon, but that was a very good point you just made, Tyler, because that you're talking about dime defense potentially. We did see that. That's you would assume probably that Deshaun Lee now goes ahead of TJ Hall when that package comes out. But at the same time, if there are, I've always advocated a top 6 the way Phil Parker plays, and that's why they went to the transfer portal trying to find that third cornerback. This offseason, they knew probably Jermari was going to be out for a little bit and needed some help in the portal. Didn't end up getting it, but now you got Deshaun Lee ends up kind of being your answer. So here's all the machinations, I guess, that could happen. Let's say Sebastian Castro gets hurt. Well, Cooper DeJean just goes straight to cash, and you got Jermari and Deshaun at corner. That's probably a pretty simple solution. Let's say Xavier Wampa gets hurt. Well, move Castro back to safety, Cooper to cash, Harrison Lee. Same thing with Quinn Schulte. Maybe what if he gets hurt? Well, you move Wampa back to free safety, Castro to strong safety. Same deal. You get where I'm going with this. So yeah, that is really important when it comes to anybody getting hurt at any point. And of course, if Cooper gets hurt, that's the worst case scenario out of all this. But if he gets hurt, then at least you feel better than you did last year against Nebraska when TJ Hall, no criticism of him other than he was a true freshman trying to play in that situation against Trey Palmer, who I've seen on the NFL games already, making plays. So anyway, good thing. What Jermari is bringing to the table, talked to Jay Higgins about this, talked to others about this. Kirk Ferentz even spoke to this, is just that veteran experience. Don't forget, he had 4 interceptions in his 6 starts in that 2021 season when Riley Moss and Matt Hankins did get banged up in the second half of that year. So this is a guy that makes plays. And frankly, the defense, has 1 sack and 2 turnovers in 2 games. They could use a playmaker. So from that sense, you get a veteran guy, a playmaker. I'm curious, just like you are, Tyler, though, to see, is there any rust with Jermari? Is there, how does he look out there? Because if Iowa has 2 really dominant corners, all of a sudden you're feeling even better about this defense.
And I think that the timing of when he's coming back is also good as well, because you're not throwing him first game back since 2021 against Penn State in the whiteout game in a tough atmosphere that you get to bring him back against Western Michigan, where maybe if he does make a mistake, it's not as, the repercussions of it won't be as drastic as if, down the road. So I think the timing of it is good. I think that, and I thought he looked good in the Kids Day at Kinnick thing. He had an interception. I think Kirk Ferentz mentioned that in the spring when he was kind of coming back, it felt like he was trying to kind of do too much because he was working back, that he was maybe trying to force some things, but he felt like as it moved closer, into the late summer and lead up to the season, that he had kind of started to find his rhythm again. So yeah, I'm interested to see how, because that's a long time of not playing, not playing all the way back since 2021. Because we've talked about Cade McNamara, he played 3 games in 2022, and that was still a long time for him to come back to the field. So this is someone that's been away from live action football for even longer. I think the benefit of it though is now you have Deshaun Lee, and that's someone that if Jermari Harris is struggling, you can plug him in, and maybe even platoon it to give guys more rest. You mentioned if there's injuries to be able to reshuffle, but even keeping guys fresh on the defensive side if everyone's healthy, that you can maybe give Cooper DeJean a little bit more of a rest if possible because he's also returning punts. So I think the ripple effects of what Deshaun Lee did in his first two games, if he's able to sustain that, but I think the ripple effects of it, of just giving Iowa the ability to kind of play chess a little bit more on defense with the pieces it has, I think is really important.
So Noah Shannon, we'll be working with the younger guys. He's going to stay with the team, engaged with the team. I think that's really positive. It speaks to his character, speaks to how Iowa's standing by him, and just to kind of fold the two gambling suspensions together here. Iowa has not treated Jermari Harris as a suspended player during this time off. Ferentz kind of noting that today in the press conference. Obviously, the same goes with Shannon, but normally if a guy is suspended for any team violation of policy, they'll put him on the scout team while he's suspended. That's not been the case with Jermari Harris. I think that goes to show that Ferentz thinks this is kind of silly that they are being punished the way they are. But anyway, so Shannon will work with the young guys, Chase Brackney, Maddox Borchering, the defensive tackle, and then whom I forget. Oh, Kenneth Merriweather. It's kind of those are the three like true freshmen he's kind of taken under his wing, so to speak. So I think it's kind of it's kind of a cool, inspiring story that could be inspiring, could be kind of cool just to see him on the sideline coaching guys up, even during games, whatnot. Just first class guy, Noah Shannon. I feel bad for him, obviously, and I hope this isn't the last time we've heard from Noah.
Yeah, I think it's a really valuable asset to have, having a guy that has so recently played in college and has a lot of experience, and even though you don't have him on the field, to be able to kind of have his experiences, because I know he had said at Iowa football's media day of just him wanting to be able to mentor the younger, other guys in the room. So I feel like he can still have the impact on the team, and I'm sure that's probably what he wants to do, even though he can't be on the field. But it also kind of moves the spotlight more to some of the other guys who had been replacing him, and now we know that are going to need to the rest of the season. Guys like Aaron Graves, Jeremiah Pittman, Y.A. Black. That there's more, I guess I would say probably at least like pressure on them to know that they're going to be the guys moving forward. There's not going to be a Noah Shannon coming back mid-late season. So, I haven't been really overly impressed by Iowa's pass rush and what the D line has done. After the Utah State game, I feel like some of what played into that was just how quickly Utah State was getting the ball out. So it was difficult to get pressure. I think Iowa's, the D line it's been good enough stopping the run. I think Joe Evans has been really good. I think Deontay Craig has been really good. Logan Lee, big game against Iowa State, but now I think you're gonna need to see some of those younger guys stepping up consistently, because now we know, Noah Shannon won't be coming back. So
yeah, we saw Y.A. Black get kind of the lion's share of the number 2 defensive tackle reps. Logan Lee played the most. Then Black, Aaron Graves, I think only played 25 snaps against Iowa State, and Jeremiah Pittman 16. So they're definitely telling you there that they like Logan Lee and Y.A. Black right now as their top 2 in trusted moments. And kind of interesting that Max Llewellyn didn't play on defense at all the other day. So they went with 3 defensive ends. So it shows they can play with a smaller rotation, but I think this Saturday will be a chance for some of those younger guys, Graves, Pittman, maybe even Antonio Thompson, somebody like that, to get some more reps at D tackle. Hopefully, if I was up big and can relax with a lead in the second half. Let's go to our second topic, which I kind of just I just kind of marked on our little rundown as Ragaini's F bombs. So he just kind of a fun side topic here, but it gets into a more serious discussion about wide receiver usage. The wide receivers, quote unquote, only 8 catches for 106 yards through 2 games. Obviously, that's not quite the production that they would want. Nico has 4. Seth Anderson has 3, and Deontay Vines 1, Caleb Brown 0. Caden Weechin has a few carries in there as well, but those are the only wide receiver receptions so far. But where I was going with the F bombs was, Nico had some pointed words about the pass interference call, which I have absolutely no problem with. It was one of the worst non-calls I think pretty much I've seen since I've been on the beat. I mean, to get yanked down while the ball is in the air and have absolutely no call, not even a discussion like that. The officials didn't even discuss. It was just like, it's a turnover. And as Nico said, ball don't lie. A lot of the guys said that. 2 plays later, Iowa gets the pick 6 anyway. But I don't know. What do you make of Nico's kind of humorous comments today, but also, pointed?
Yeah, I think so. You were in the group that he was first talking to, and then I had come after, and someone asked him again about it, and he was just like, yeah, he swore on camera, and he was like, hopefully they don't like post it. But then he was like, this isn't the NBA. Like, they can't find me. I mean, like, the NCAA isn't gonna find me. So like, post it. I don't care. But I think, yeah, I mean, he was just kind of showing his personality on, and it wasn't a good call. But I think it also kind of just speaks to not maybe specifically that play, but just the wide receivers not having as big of a role so far. I don't think it's a lack of trying. There's been a lot of times where they've been really close to hitting deep plays like that against Iowa State. There were 2 instances I can think of. One with Seth Anderson, with Seth Anderson. He just put he put his defender in a blender. Had green grass in front of him. Cade McNamara missed him. It probably would have been a really long touchdown had he come down with it. Another one to Deontay Vines, that would have been another deep one as well, that they weren't able to, the timing was just a little bit off. Cade McNamara said after the game he's got to buy Deontay Vines dinner. Today, Deontay Vines said he has not, Cade McNamara has not bought him dinner yet, but he's planning to run up the tab when he does. But I think that it kind of speaks that it just feels like this offense is really close. It feels like there's a lot of times where the timing is just slightly off. It doesn't feel like the gap is really wide between Iowa being able to get things clicking. And I think if this was last season, you would have loved to be in a situation where Iowa's offense was close, right? Because through the first 2 weeks of last season, the offense was not even
Right.
close.
No.
There wasn't really any optimism at all. There was not really any hope. So I think you can actually be encouraged by the fact that Iowa is close to seeming like they're kind of figuring things out already this early in the season. And it's debatable based on how you see it. Is Iowa's, are you content with what Iowa's offense is doing right now? Look, they put up 37 points in 2 games. It's not great, but at the same time, it's not debatable that up to this point in the season, they're better than last season. It's without a doubt Iowa's offense through the first 2 weeks of this season is better than last season. So, like I said, you can debate whether is it good enough. I don't know. Hope it might get better, but it's better than last season without a doubt.
Yeah, Kirk Ferentz was asked about that directly today, and someone said, the question was, with the offense, do you feel like it took another step? And he said, I do. I saw a lot of things that were encouraging. We're still not there yet. We're a more mature group, certainly, than we've been the last 2 years overall. So, he's seeing progress. I mean, I know there's some emailers and people and texters that want me to blast the offense, but I mean, objectively speaking, and you watched the games last year too. I do see progress year over year, and I do see reasons to be optimistic. And I think we might as well just transition to our third topic right here, Tyler, because it goes hand in hand, which is Cade McNamara's health. This is the first week that he has taken part in a game week practice in a year. I mean, let that process. He has not been able to participate in a game week practice in 1 year. And that's unfortunate for the Hawkeyes that he, had a quad muscle injury on August 12th, which was exactly 1 month ago today. So it's been 1 month since he got hurt. He has not been practicing much, if at all, on game weeks, and now he is. So that is a huge development, and that is directly from Kirk Ferentz. That is a huge thing for this offense. So I think it's a really big deal that we are where we are with Cade McNamara's health, and I think it's I think I talked about last week. I can't remember if it was on the radio show or on this podcast, but I was like, if you get through Iowa State and Cade's still kind of having setbacks, whatever, like I would shut him down this week and try to beat Western Michigan with Deacon Hill. But the way it's going now, Tyler, this is almost a best case scenario of where things could be after we saw him kind of retweak it during that Utah State game, is it not? I mean, we're basically 10 days after that game, and he's feeling really good. He's taking part in full practices. I don't know. I feel like that right there, especially what we've seen from Cade so far, just composure in the pocket, accuracy when he has time. He has gotten time. I feel like maybe I'm putting too much into it, but I feel like that's a really exciting thing for Hawkeye fans just 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I think what he's shown through the first 2 games is kind of emblematic of Iowa's offense as a whole, that he hasn't set the field on fire, but he's done enough to win, and I think that there's enough encouraging signs to believe that he can get a lot better and that there's potential there. But I think it's also, like, easy to forget that, look, he left the 3rd game of Michigan season last season in 2022, didn't play the rest of the season, had knee surgery late that year. He said today, because I had asked him, he said that, there was at some point he was basically just worried about bending his knee. Now, he wasn't worried about football. He was worried about, could his knee bend? And I think that's a really good thing to kind of keep in mind when he's only played 2 games back since then, that he had the setback at Kids Day at Kinnick. This is a new program with not only him being new, but also it's not the same receivers as last season. So you also have to factor in them bringing in Caleb Brown, Seth Anderson, Eric All. This is a totally new group. And I understand the frustration of it, because last season was last season, and it was not in any way the way people wanted the offense to look. So I understand, the frustration about it, but I think it's also important to understand that try not to let that unit's what they did seep into your feelings about what's going on this season, because it's a different group. It's a new group, so it's not like I was trotting out the same exact unit as they were last season, and the same results. So that's why, if it's not where you want it to be, I understand you can be frustrated, but I think it's just important to keep the perspective of who the guy that's throwing the ball, what he's been through this last year, what this whole group dynamic looks like. They're still building chemistry. They had time leading up to the season that they weren't able to build that chemistry because Cade McNamara wasn't able to be on the field. So I think it's just important to keep all of that in mind when you're kind of looking at the current state of Iowa's offense.
Yeah, and it's a great week, to I don't know if you want to say experiment, but just sort of let it loose this week with Western Michigan, a team that gave up 45 first half points to Syracuse the other day, coming into town. I think we'll talk more about the matchup on Hawk Central tomorrow night. But I don't know. While you were talking, it made me think of my own surgery that I had. And I know, we love to talk about tennis on this show, but for those, I think most people on here probably know I broke my leg and ankle during basketball season. and I had to have ankle surgery, and this has been 7 months now. Okay, so, but when I first got back on the tennis court, which the main thing I wanted to do, again, I'm in my late 40s here, not relating myself to a Division One athlete, but I just wanted to be back. I just wanted to like be back on the court, and I kind of relate that to what Cade's feeling and what he talked about today. He just wanted to eventually be back on the field. And first couple of games, first couple matches, I was and not myself. And that's just natural when you're coming out of surgery. Like I was hesitant. I was like, um, not chasing balls because I didn't trust myself. I'm not saying that's where he's at, but I'm just saying when you're not feeling 100% and you're still kind of working your way back into it, it's just not the same. And then by the end of the summer, and I'm honestly playing the best tennis I've ever played. So now, I know you're smiling.
You had
I'm
to
just,
throw that in there.
I know. Yeah. Let me just post my scores here quick. No,
Playing at better level right now.
no, yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, I get it. Like, I feel like uh, it's resonating with me that now he's practicing fully. Like, it's like he's getting on the court more than once a week, Like, now he's going to start feeling a rhythm. Now you should be able to see some rhythm with receivers. And that's why this is a really good week, I think, for that connection to hopefully, if you're a Hawkeye supporter, kind of reignite, can he, throw 6 times to Deontay Vines this week, and connect on 5 of them, Seth Anderson, does he hit that deep ball? Nico, is he a guy in the slot? Is this I don't know. I could just see them throwing a lot this week, just to kind of air it out, test it out. I know they want to get the run game established, but I feel like that passing game is where this team can really upgrade on offense this year.
Yeah, and I think also just going back to what you're saying about the injury of like it's they're athletes that can do extraordinary things physically on the field, but like they're still human. It's not like they're robots to where whatever injury they had is fixed and magically they're back to exactly where they were before the injury. Like there is a certain mental hurdle and aspect that you have to take into account into these things. But yeah, I think it feels, I know it's still early in the season. It feels like Cade basically can decide the ceiling of this team, because I think that's where Iowa can be a lot improved from last season is the passing game and being able to open things up more. So um, yeah, I think that and as much as we've kind of seen the encouraging signs and stuff, I think you have to continue to see that progress, because if we're having this same conversation a month from now, 6 weeks from now, of they're just not quite there yet, they're close but not clicking, then I think there's reason for concern, because at some point you have to see that progress start turning into more tangible results. So I think this week is a great opportunity to kind of feel like you get over the hump a little bit and maybe able to experiment with things, maybe make some more mistakes, but also start to see maybe the fruits of the labor of in the first 2 weeks start to kind of come to fruition.
Got a text from a friend of mine that said, "So happy your tennis game is on point." So I know at least somebody's listening out there. Oh man! All right, we can talk about tennis anymore. But so last year we when you say that, Tyler, you weren't on the beat last year, but after 2 weeks last year, the narratives were somewhat similar in a way, because you're like, okay, Nevada's coming to town. Here's a chance for the offense to bust out. And it was a weird game, yeah, but Iowa only scored 27 points in that game. Basically scored on big plays. Caleb Johnson had 2 big long runs, and I can't remember how they got the other touchdown, but it wasn't like the offense just looked like a machine. So I feel like this week 3 uptick in offense that we're waiting for, this will be a good measuring stick, because if we're underwhelmed maybe this week, it's going to remind me of last year. Like that should have been a warning sign last year for me that, yeah, I don't know about this offense. I mean, not that I was like sold on it or anything, but like I feel like we need to see a good offensive week from this team this week to just feel a little more vindicated, validated into the incremental progress we're seeing going into Penn State next week. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But I feel like all in all, as we wrap up, Tyler, I feel like it's been a good 4 days for Hawkeye football, Saturday through Tuesday, Noah Shannon aside.
And yeah, I don't want to get anyone mad at me for like, I'm not gonna try to jinx this or anything, but I think it's something that's worth mentioning is that Iowa's gotten through the first 2 games basically without any major injuries or like major setbacks. I think that's a major, plus. And I think it feels like going into this Western Michigan game, I think if you want to look at it as a success, there's 2 things in my mind that stick out. One, I think you win handily. You see some encouraging signs from the offense, and there's no major injury setbacks. I think to me, those are the most important things coming out of this week. Like Kirk Ferentz isn't going to say we should roll over Western. Like he's not going to say we should roll over Western Michigan, but we can say they should win handily. Like that, this feels sort of like the final last deep breath you can take before Iowa gets into the gauntlet of Penn State and all the other Big Ten matchups. So it feels like win the game handily and no injuries. If both of those things happen, the offense continues to seem to make progress, then I think that those are kind of the baseline of what needs to happen. And if that is what happens, it feels like that's kind of a success.
Yeah, great points, Tyler. I think the betting line would suggest maybe like a 35-7 Hawkeye win as sort of what Vegas expects this week. So just keep that in mind. If you're dreaming about a 59-0 game, Vegas even has Iowa as a 28.5 point favorite, I believe, or 28, and it's over unders 43. So low scoring yet. I just think they think Iowa defense is going to play well. Anyway, we'll get to the matchup tomorrow night on Hawk Central. Thank you for joining us on this YouTube version. We do this every Tuesday at 4:30. That's the plan every week on our Hawk Central YouTube page. And we do this most weeks after the games on Saturdays. If not this, we'll do an audio version on some of these night games. But anyway, thanks, Tyler. Great job today. For Tyler Tachman, this is Chad Leistikow saying so long, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night on Hawk Central 106.3 KXNO.